10 weird things found growing inside people. Number 10. Unborn twin. 36-year-old Sanju Bhagat, despite his skinny frame, had spent his life with a bulging belly. One day, the bulge in his belly prevented him from breathing, and Bhagat was rushed to hospital to get what was assumed to be a tumor cut out of his belly. However, when doctors cut into Bhagat, instead of finding a tumor, they were shocked to see the mutated body of Bhagat's unborn twin inside his stomach. The mutated parasite had limbs, hair, long fingernails, and even genitalia. It was attached to Bhagat's blood supply through an umbilical cord structure and had been leeching off him since they were first in the womb together. Number 9. Brain food. Rosemary Alvarez was sent to the emergency room after she started experiencing numbness in her arm and blurred vision. She was referred for a brain scan where neurosurgeons spotted what they believed to be a tumor in her brainstem. Alvarez was taken into surgery to have the tumor removed, but instead doctors were shocked to find a parasitic tapeworm wriggling in her brain. According to her doctors, the tapeworm could only have grown in Alvarez's brain if she had eaten food contaminated with feces carrying the parasitic worm egg. Number 8. Growing toothache. A 36-year-old man shocked a dentist when he visited a dental surgery complaining of a severe toothache. When the dentist extracted the decaying molar, they discovered that the cause of the man's excruciating pain was a sprouting guava plant, which had been growing out of a cavity in the molar. The man's teeth were so decayed that the dentist believed the seed was able to germinate freely, as he had no wisdom tooth in the opposing gum. Number 7. Pee in the lung. Ron Sweden in Massachusetts, USA had been suffering from a shortness of breath for months, when one day he was rushed to hospital with a collapsed lung. Convinced that doctors would diagnose him with cancer, Sweden braced himself for the worst. While X-rays revealed that Sweden did indeed have a growth, he was slightly relieved to discover that instead of cancer, there appeared to be a pea plant growing in his lung. Doctors guessed that Sweden ate the initial pea, but it accidentally passed into his lung and grew into the 1.25 centimeter plant. Number 6. Dandelion Girl. A 16-month-old baby girl named Ran was taken to hospital crying in pain after spending months suffering from an apparent earache. After spotting something in the child's ear, the mum tried and failed to get the object out, so she took Ran to hospital, where doctors discovered that a flowering dandelion was growing in the girl's ear canal. Although only 2 centimeters long, the flower had to be surgically removed, as it put the infant at risk of internal bleeding. It is thought that the warm, humid conditions of the girl's ear canal gave the flower the perfect conditions to flourish. Number 5. Guinea worm disease. In 2015, 22 people were infected with the guinea worm disease. The victims became infected after drinking from water contaminated with the guinea worm larvae. Once ingested, the larvae migrate into the intestines, before growing into worms almost 1 meter long, at which point they are able to mate and reproduce. Approximately 1 year after infection, a painful blister forms as the worms attempt to burrow their way out of their host. The only way to treat victims is to slowly pull the worm out of the wound. This agonizingly slow process can take up to a month. Number 4. Hairball. An 18-year-old woman was referred to specialists when vomiting after every meal caused her to lose 18 kilograms in just 5 months. During this period, the girl had developed a painful, swollen abdomen, which scans showed was filled with a large mass. During surgery, a camera lowered down her esophagus revealed that the large mass was actually a giant hairball filling the entire stomach, due to years of the woman eating her own hair. Thankfully, the doctors were able to safely remove the mass of curly black hair that had accumulated in her body. Number 3. Monster tumor. Nicola Ellington and her unborn baby almost died when a monster tumor in her chest began feeding off her pregnancy hormones. The monster tumor was so named because it was covered in hair and teeth, and was thought to have been dormant in Ellington's body since birth. However, When Ellington became pregnant, the tumour grew rapidly, and in just 3 months it had grown to the size of a watermelon. As the tumour grew, it crushed Ellington's heart and lungs, cutting off the oxygen to her womb, eventually forcing surgeons to operate. Number 2. Fur Man. When 28-year-old Artyom Sidorkin came through the hospital doors coughing up blood and suffering with severe chest pains, doctors assumed he had cancer. Sidorkin was rushed to the operating theatre for a biopsy. However, instead of finding a tumour, the surgeon investigating the biopsy reportedly found a fir tree sprouting in his lung, pressing against his capillaries. It is thought that the tree began growing in the man's lung after he accidentally inhaled a seed. Number 1. Potato in vagina. When a 22-year-old Colombian woman was hospitalized with abdominal pains, doctors were surprised to discover that the cause of her pain was a potato that had sprouted inside her vagina. The unnamed woman told the doctors that she had put the potato up there as a form of contraception, as her mum told her the vegetable would prevent pregnancy. However, problems started when the spurt sprouted roots and started to grow in her reproductive organs. Luckily, the doctors managed to remove the potato and prevent any lasting damage.
If you enjoyed this video, then why don't you check out 10 animals found living inside humans. That's playing on screen now. There's a link in the description. But you guys have been warned. It is pretty, I don't know how to put it. It will make you feel a bit queasy. But if you watch this one, you'll probably love that one. So go and check it out. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. And we'll see you next time. Peace!